أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The theme of today's khutbah is تخصيص شهر رجب بعبادات واحتفالات وبعض ما لا يصح فيه من أمور that has to do with singling out the month of Rajab in an act of worship or celebration and some other things that are not valid therein. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, I believe today marked the 3rd of Rajab 1446. And this is an indication that, of course, fasting of the month of Ramadan is actually approaching. Because after the month of Rajab, the next month is Sha'ban, then that will also bring us to the month of Ramadan. And this indicates that, of course, we are also moving close to the grave, to our destination of life. Because kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut, every soul shall test it, that is death. Also, half of the year has passed on us and has gone. And also its days have passed and will never return. But we are still in extreme heedlessness of the hereafter, and also put ourselves in a great competition for this immediate and the world that will definitely perish. And as well, we are being weak and lazy or heedless in performing righteous action or good deeds of righteousness, such as the obligatory duties, that is the 5 daily prayers, also on the other obligatory duties. The 5 daily prayers is inclusive. Giving 2.5% of our wealth is inclusive. These are obligatory acts of worship. Fasting during the month of Ramadan is part of the obligatory. Then visiting the house of Allah Azza wa Jalla is part of the obligatory, which some of us have been heedless. Allah Azza wa Jalla bestows us wealth, but we have been slow or being heedless regarding paying to visit the house of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And Allah Azza wa Jalla, in one of the ahadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which is Hadithul Ilahi, the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla, which He allowed the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to express it in his own meaning. Inna abdan ashahtu lahu jisma wa awsa'tu alayhi fi rizqi tamurru alayhi khamsu a'wam la yarid aw la ya'ti ilayya fi bayti la mahrum. That a servant of mine, I bestows upon him health, and I actually expand for him his provision, that is wealth, money, and he allowed 5 years to pass by without visiting me in my house. That person has deprived himself. the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla, which allowed the Prophet ﷺ to express it. Meaning, the statement is not in the Quran, but the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that in his statement that this is the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Also, those are the type of things that will also be in heedless regarding to it, and again, they are part of the obligatory. And as well, heedlessness in terms of mother, voluntary, part of the voluntary, sadaqat, the nawafil, before and after every 5 daily prayers, tahiyyatul masjid, all these things are voluntary, which we are not hasting in doing them as our provision or what we sent forth for our tomorrow. And as well, heedlessness in terms of mother etiquette, that is the adab, with procrastination and slowness in repenting and turning to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And we've been hearing so often that so and so has passed away. This shows that, yes, of course, that person, we all understand that he or she is human being like us. It shows that our own time has not reached. That is why we are still living. And it is a great opportunity for us to hasten in doing righteous action before we deprive from that opportunity, which type of khutbah had been delivered regarding to that last week. So and so has passed away, left behind, or passed away, leaving his family, friends, and has become in his grave a hostage to his deeds, meaning he's left alone with his deeds, and with it they will judge him. They will judge him in the grave. Won't we learn from that? Can't we repent, turning back to Allah Azza wa Jalla with absolute repentance? Can't we denounce al-bid'ah, that is innovation into the Islam? Can't we give us misguidance and immorality, evil, sins, and corruption or spreading corruption on the face of the earth? Is there anyone who is sufficient to disobey what the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were upon? Can't we follow the Quran, the pattern of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ before the establishment of the hour, or before the hour will be established on us? Because in the Sa'at al-Atiyah, Allah Azza wa Jalla has taken oath. That time will definitely come. It will be established. Can't we give up or hasten to do righteous action before the moment of our death comes upon us? Can't we try our best possible to do the righteous action before the day those who disobey Allah Azza wa Jalla will say, woe to me, how great is my regret over what I neglected in regard to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Ya hasrata ala ma farrattu fi janbillah wa in kuntu la min as-sakhirin. Or before the day that a person will say, woe to me, meaning ya laytani qaddamtu li hayati, woe to me, I wish I had sent ahead, or I have sent forth for my life, meaning an everlasting life of the hereafter. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we are in the month of Rajab, as I earlier mentioned, the month which Allah Azza wa Jalla honored. Is part of the sacred month. It's one of the sacred months, the 4 sacred months, which the Prophet ﷺ explained in an hadith narrated by Abi Bakr. And Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned about that in Surah Al-Tawbah, the month which Allah Azza wa Jalla forbidding transgression, injustice, oppression, oppressing one another in it. And again, part of what Allah Azza wa Jalla prohibited as part of oppression, shirk is part of it. That's why even Allah says, Inna shirka la dhulmun azim. Shirk is the great mother oppression, transgression. Allah Azza wa Jalla forbidding oppression. In fact, oppression in every time, every minute, every day, in any day, it is prohibited. Allah Azza wa Jalla prohibited. He said, Inni haramtu dhulma ala nafsi. I have made oppression forbidden upon myself. Allah Azza wa Jalla made it upon himself injustice. وَجَعَلْتُهُ بَيْنَكُمْ مُحَرَّمًا. And I have put among yourselves that matter forbidden. I have made injustice among yourselves forbidden also. Allah Azza wa Jalla prohibited shirk, innovation, sins, immoralities, evil, oppression, transgression, corruption and spreading corruption, killing. Allah Azza wa Jalla prohibited in every time, but its prohibition is more severe in the month of Mother, in the 4 sacred months. Wal-iqtital, also fighting, deception, lying, backbiting. All these things are what Allah Azza wa Jalla prohibited. Also, He and His Messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also gossiping is part of oppression. Also, part of good and slandering, envy, malice, hatred, witnessing and watching forbidden things. All these things are haram, that Allah Azza wa Jalla made it haram, and attending places of evil, and so many other things which Allah Azza wa Jalla prohibited. In the ayah in Surah Al-Tawbah, إن عدة الشهور عند الله 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها 4 حرم. إنه ذلك الدين القيم فلا تظلموا فيهن أنفسكم. That in the عدة الشهور عند الله, indeed the numbers of months in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jalla, or with Allah, 12 are 12 lunar months. The 12 lunar month, not January, February to December. The 12th lunar month that Allah Azza wa Jalla, that is recognized by Allah, which He mentioned in the ayah, are from Al-Muharram to Dhul Hijjah. That's why I say, إِنَّ عِدَّةَ الشُّهُورِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. The numbers of months with Allah Azza wa Jalla are 12 lunar months. في كتاب الله, in the register of Allah Azza wa Jalla, from the day He created the heavens and the earth. Then He now said, out of this, then 4 are sacred. The 4 sacred months, the Prophet ﷺ explained regarding them, and he enumerated them in the hadith narrated by Abi Bakr. He mentioned them: Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, Shahrullah al-Muharram, and the month of Rajab, which we are in already. In it, Allah Azza wa Jalla said that mother, ذَلِكَ الدِّينُ الْقَيِّمُ, that is the right pattern, that is the right way, that is the outstanding religion, meaning the right way. He now said, in these 4 sacred months, فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا فِيهِنَّ أَنفُسَكُمْ, do not oppress one another in them. Some of the scholars of the Mada Tafsir mention the word فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا فِيهِنَّ أَنفُسَكُمْ, that Allah Azza wa Jalla is referring to all the months, from the month of Muharram to the month of Dhul Hijjah. Only that the prohibition is more severe in the 4 sacred months. I mean that is why Allah Azza wa Jalla prohibited, do not oppress one another in them. Transgression, don't commit injustice among yourselves. Also, it was established from the narration narrated by Qatada, which he compiled in his statement, that in Zulma, that oppression, transgression in the sacred month, that is the 4 sacred month, أعظم خطيئة ووزرا, that is greater, it is a greater sin and burden that compared to the rest of the month. In every month, transgression, oppression, disobeying Allah, transgressing and again violating the law of Allah Azza wa Jalla is haram. But its prohibition is more severe, and the burden is more severe also in the sacred month. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, in accordance to the khutbah written here, the khatib, that is the one who is coming to deliver the khutbah, he mentioned that there are four stances you must pay attention to. You must pay attention to. Four things you need to pause and reflect over. And also the four things you need to understand their ruling also, and gain insight into the people's reality with them, into the people's reality with them, so that your servitude and your souls will be saved from deficiency, you and your action, because Allahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. Allah Azza wa Jalla created you and your action. For you and your action to be saved from every form of deficiency, innovation, sins, and sins, and also for the innovation and the sins in a community level to be reduced, and for you not to put yourself in the wrath of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and also for you to live in this world successfully and also achieve the mercy of Allah in the hereafter. Four things you need to sit and reflect, to ponder over. One of the things you need to pause over, the first one has to do with the ruling on singling out the month of Rajab. The ruling on singling out the month of Rajab, or the first day of it, or the first Thursday or the first Friday of the month of Rajab. The Imam mentioned, you see that it has been the custom, meaning people are accustomed with some of the things, with singling out the month of Rajab, either the month or the first day of the month of Rajab, or the first Friday of the month of Rajab, or the first day of the month of Rajab. See that people are accustomed with singling out those days with some act of worship, like fasting in them. And all these specifications are not proven from the Prophet ﷺ, that there is no hadith, no single hadith that was narrated, no single authentic hadith that was narrated encouraging fasting or singling out a day or some particular days in the month of Rajab with fasting. There's no single authentic hadith regarding to that from the Prophet ﷺ or from the Sahaba. They have never invited people to come and fast in it. In fact, that the scholars regard, even with regards to their having differences in mother countries or schools of thoughts or time, all of them mother disregard all the hadith that was narrated regarding the virtue of singling out the month of Rajab with fasting. That there's no authentic hadith. The scholars even write books regarding to that and separate individual books for that. Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, who is more inclined to the school of thought of Imam Shafi'i, he mentioned in his statement that no authentic hadith was mentioned regarding to the virtue of the month of Rajab, either fasting in it, or either fasting in it, not fasting any specific part of it, or singling out a particular night of the month to observe night prayer. There is no authentic hadith regarding to that. In case someone read to you to tell you the virtue of fasting in the month of Sha'ban, or singling out a particular night to observe Qiyamul Layl, there is no authentic hadith from the Prophet ﷺ regarding to that. Also, Al-Hafiz ibn Rajab, who is more inclined to the school of thought as Mother Imam Al-Hanbali, Imam Ahmad Al-Hanbali, that is the school of thought of Hanbali. May Allah have mercy on him. He said also, لَمْ يَصِحَّ فِي فَضْلِ شَهْرِ رَجَبٍ, that there is no authentic hadith regarding to the virtue of the month of Rajab by singling out the month with something, with some act of worship. There is no authentic hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, nor from the Sahaba. He now said, that is, he now mentioned ahead, or let me just say, the Khatib also mentioned ahead of the statement of Al-Hafidh ibn Rajab. He now said, as for those who had the habit of fasting on some days or dropping fasting on some days, like those who are used to fasting the white fasting, which we call Siyamu Ayyamul Bid, or fasting Mondays and Thursdays. There is no problem or there is no blame on them fasting the Thursdays and the Mondays or the Ayyamul Bid. That is those days that the moon is out there at the horizon, clear, bright. Those days, there is no problem in them fasting because they are used to it. What we are used to, we are not to give up because of something. You continue that act of worship. Your act of worship coincide in those months, then there is no problem. Because that is your intention is to fast the Thursdays and Mondays. Then the Ayyam will be not to fast the month of Rajab. For that there is no act of worship. A special act of worship which we need to do in the month of Rajab that is so special to the other months also. Then that is regarding to that, fasting in them, singling out the month of Rajab to fast, it is an innovation which we need to discourage ourselves because some people are accustomed to that. In fact, I don't know until I'm reading it from the Khutba. Also, he mentioned the second thing which we need to reflect over regarding to the ruling of singling out some days or night with maybe prayer, either night prayer or the daily prayers. Also, there is no single hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no authentic hadith from that. If there is any hadith, the hadith is recognized as fabricated hadith or hadith that is weak. Because also, according to him, that some people also have become accustomed to singling out the month of Rajab with special prayer, which is called Salatul Raghaib. Salah, the prayer that you observed in seeking for something. That's how we title it, that Salatul Raghaib, that's how they call it also. If people are doing it, Allahu A'lam, if you are used to that, also you need to give up because that is not part of the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. There is no authentic trace, we call it athar, from the Sahaba that they are doing that. Also the generation after them did not do that except the next generation after the generation of the Sahaba and the Tabi'in that actually introduced that, which is innovation. Anything that is not existing at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, at the time of the Sahaba or the generation after them cannot be recognized as something authentic in this generation. That this particular prayer, Salatul Raghaib, it is something which is performed on the night of the first Friday of the month of Rajab. It is actually innovation. And that it was first known in the 5th century. That is the 5th. You know, the Prophet ﷺ said that the best generation is my generation, the generation that he is, and around him are the companions. Then the best after my generation is the generation after them, which is the generation of the companions. Then after it, the generation of the mother Tabi'in, or Tabi'in. After that, then ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. For that, this prayer also is also innovation and inviting people to come and do it also. You are inviting your mother, you are exposing them into mother innovation. Because any act of worship is the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet that dictate to us on how to do it. Like for instance, now when someone comes to the masjid He observed 2 rak'ah before he sit down. This is from the statement of the Prophet ﷺ that إِذَا دَخَلَ أَحَدُكُمُ الْمَسْجِدِ فَلَا يَجْلِسْ حَتَّى يَرْكَعَ رَكْعَتَيْنِ. That if any one of you enter the masjid, the house of Allah Azza wa Jalla, you should not sit until you observe 2 rak'ah. That is the 2 rak'ah of mother, we call it of greeting the masjid. That is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. You do that because the Prophet ﷺ commanded you to do. Also, about the 5 daily prayers, the nawafil, how many prayers, how many rak'ah you need to offer before the salat al-maghrib, and after maghrib, before maghrib, after maghrib, or before salat al-subh. Then the Prophet ﷺ also kicked against observing 2 rak'at after salat al-subh. This is something that the Prophet ﷺ directed us to, based on how Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed to him to convey the message, and he conveyed the message. Any other thing that someone do contrary to Allah's command and the Prophet ﷺ's command, that is known as mother innovation. For that, there is no ayah, a single ayah, verse, or hadith of the Prophet that legislated that. Then one of the righteous predecessors, one of the jurists, whose name is Ibn al-Attar, who is inclined to the school of thought of Ash-Shafi'i, he said that the ahadith that are narrated regarding to the virtue, all the ahadith narrated regarding to the virtue of mother observing prayer during the month of Rajab, all of them are fabricated hadith. And he now said this is in accordance to the consensus of the scholars of transmission and justice. Then Al-Hafiz ibn Rajab is inclined to Al-Hanbali, also mentioned in his statement, لَمْ يَصِحَّ فِي رَجَبٍ صَلَاةٌ مَخْصُوصًا, that there is no special prayer there is no authentic hadith from the Prophet ﷺ that talked about singling out the month of Rajab with prayer, like with Salatul Rawa'ib, that all their hadith are fabricated hadith and they are invalid. He said that all these prayers, fasting, all of them are innovation in accordance to the consensus of the scholars. Then, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we need to understand that glorifying the month by singling out the month with prayer and fasting, or singling out a night in the month to make supplication and any other things, is not from the commandment of the Islam. Islam does not rather legislated that on you. And there is no sunnah from the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. But he now said, rather, it is part of the pre-Islamic era. It's the people of Jahiliyyah that used to honor the month. Then the statement of Khutba ibn al-Hur, may Allah have mercy on him, he mentioned. Now I have to just rush the Khutbah to finish. I'm sure that the man is around. That Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab used to hit people that maybe used to single out that month with some act of worship like fasting. If you realize that you are not used to, or you are singling out that month, he will beat you and give you something that you must take. You give a command that you have to take it. Then regarding also, the Imam will also come and deliver this khutbah. This one I will not explain. Regarding to the ruling of the events that happened at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, meaning his night journey from Baytul Haram to Masjid-Al, and his ascension from the earth to the heavens to Allah Azza wa Jalla. It happens. Some of the scholars say that happened some people say that it happened in this month, and some say that not. Some gave different types of opinion, and all the opinions given are all based on hypothesis. Call them Rajab bil Ghaib. All of them are based on hypothesis. There is no authentic hadith. In fact, there are hadith of the night journey of the Prophet ﷺ, there is an ayah from the Quran, Subhanallah asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-haram, talking about the night journey of the Prophet ﷺ and also his ascension. There are a lot of ahadith that talk about his night journey and a lot of ahadith that talk about his ascension. All those hadith came and all of them are authentic, but there's no single ayah or the hadith that talked about the particular time that the Prophet ﷺ do the night journey and his ascension. Then lastly, regarding to the ruling of mother singly, the day of the night of ascension, the night journey of the Prophet ﷺ and his ascension to Allah Azza wa Jalla for a kind of celebration, celebrating in any night or the day of in the Rajab or the night journey or the ascension of Prophet ﷺ. Also, all these things are recognized as mother innovation. Inshallah, we'll stop here. The Imam will deliver the full khutbah.